play, and then we're putting down the loam the rest of the week. And the plan is next Monday to start with the seeding, and then we'll
Nice.
water it and go from there. So, thank you to all who were part of Saturday's event. Thanks.
Next item.
I have some good news.
Oh, sorry.
My good news is that I'd like to ask the council to welcome Julie Vi. She's right here. Come up to here. She is our new deputy clerk, and we had a little bit of overlap with our former clerk, and I had a great week of training for her, and she comes to us very solidly trained and has already fit right in with everybody. It's been a great transition.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Nice. Welcome aboard.
Meeting you all.
Nice having you on the
Thank you.
team.
Thanks for coming tonight, Julie. Okay.
Next item.
Next item, public hearings. The first public hearing is a charter amendment to change the elections for the school committee to June.
Okay, I open that public hearing. I see none from the audience. Close that public hearing. Next.
Next is authorizing the issuance of bonds for the Burrows Road Bridge project.
I'll open that public hearing. I see none. I'll close that public hearing.
Next is an itinerant vendor's license for Beach Betties. That's a food truck.
We'll open that public hearing. I see none. Close that public hearing.
And finally, we have itinerant vendor and victualers licenses for Manny's, Philly to Me, and bench warmers.
I'll open that public hearing. I see none. I'll close that public hearing. Next item.
Audience participation and response for agenda items. At this time, those in the audience who wish to speak may approach the lectern. Please use the microphone and state your name for the record. This portion of the agenda is solely to address items that are on today's agenda.
Anyone from the audience want to speak to any items? See none. Next item.
All right. Next item is the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered routine and will be considered for adoption by one motion with no separate discussion unless a councilor requests an item be removed. Any councilor wishing to remove an item may do so now. First item, municipal accounts payable warrants, $1,464,125.04. Municipal payroll warrants, $292,142.93. School accounts payable warrants, $139,528.18. School payroll warrants we'll see at the next meeting. Minutes of August 14, 2023. The itinerant vendor's license for Beach Betty's food truck. To set a hearing for September 19th for a mass gathering permit for Lisbon Falls Art Walk. An itinerant vendor and victualers licenses for Manny's, Philly to Me, and bench warmers. To set a public hearing for September 19th for a victualers license for the Loving Bite Catering and the Main Squeeze. To waive the victualers application fee for the Loving Bite Catering, and to approve the extension for the Lisbon Left Hand Club for liquor and special entertainment license to January 7, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Vote on it.
That was the motion to approve, by the way.
Yes. Order passed, vote 6-0.
Next item.
Okay. Next item is council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. First item is erosion and sedimentation control at construction site ordinance. This is a first reading. I did put a memo in, I don't know if everybody saw it because of the new formatting, but this was supposed to be included with the other planning board resolutions. The planning board already passed this, and these are state required changes that we didn't have to do anything for these.
Nice. Next item.
I'll make a motion to
Wait,
approve.
I had one question.
Sure.
I believe the planning board had recommended that there would be a fee schedule drawn up to this so that the person building a site would pay the fee for it rather than the taxpayers having to cover that time. So is there anything in that on developing fees for this, and depending on how much time it would cost our officer to go out there?
I honestly don't know. I can go ahead and bring that question to code enforcement, and then we can make sure that it is, if it's not in there, when we go to the second reading, it could be that it was left out if it's not there, or we'll see what they have to say about that.
Okay, yeah, I know it was a recommendation from the planning board, and I want to make sure that the developer pays the cost rather than the other taxpayers covering it.
Okay.
Start of the motion for discussion, I guess.
I guess it was. Yeah.
Yep. Was there a second? I'm not sure if there was.
I'll second it.
Yep. I guess the other question would be on Mark's point is, I do understand the fee stuff, but I would assume this would actually fall in line with someone who's actually, it's already a construction site, so someone actually would have come in and actually permitting for a building or construction at that point in time, whether or not this is just addition to that, something that needs to be done, or is this basically just a changing in the ordinance to meet a certain specification?
This is all for the MS4 program, so this is just to be compliant with MS4, and this is the model ordinance that was recommended by the planning group. So, be honest, I didn't read through the full ordinance because it was a couple months back, and but we can revisit and make any amendments that.
I'm just thinking that there's always been an erosion and sediment control in our standards. It's just basically this must be a modification to make sure that it's
compliant with the
compliant.
state MS4 program.
Yeah, I think it is more extensive than what we've been
Gotcha,
operating
yeah.
under.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm just
understandable.
curious.
Yep.
It's going to take more time for the code enforcement to go out there and actually enforce it.
Anytime we're required to
It's
do
not
more,
like
it's
you had a
more.
choice.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Perfect.
Ready for a vote?
This will be a roll call vote. Counselor Kane?
Yes.
Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counselor Keller?
Yes.
Counselor Larichelle?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Robichaud?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed. Vote 6-0.
Next item.
Next item is a charter amendment to change elections for the school committee to June. This is the second reading.
Do we need to open for discussion that it's the second reading? I mean, we can.
We still, yeah, we do need,
Okay.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
Second.
I think it was pretty much laid out before
Right.
what the intention was. I don't think it's a bad idea. Just
Yeah.
it's a lot of work to get there, but yet at the end of the day, they may have more interest, right? Maybe.
Hopefully. Ready for vote?
Counselor Kane?
Yes.
Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counselor Keller?
Yes.
Counselor Larichelle?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Robichaud?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed. Vote 6-0. Next item is also a second reading for the authorizing the issuance of bonds for the Burrows Road Bridge project.
Make a motion for discussion.
Second it?
Is there any, we're still actually working to see if we actually have other funding available for that, right? So this bond will only basically be in effect if we don't have a primary or.
Correct. The full amount authorized will be if we don't get the congressional earmark, and then we'll only be responsible for the match portion, which I think is 20%, but could be less depending on how they structure the earmark.
We probably won't know that prior to
Until
the
the end
November.
of the calendar year. And with the potential for a shutdown coming, I think it's the concern from our representative's office is that it'll be used as a bargaining chip in their upcoming.
Negotiations.
Yeah. So they didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver, so to speak.
Either way, we'll be covered one way or the other.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And Council may have noticed that it was a shorter version than what we looked at last time, and that's because legal just cleaned up some unnecessary language. There were no substantive changes of any kind.
Ready for a vote?
Counselor Kane?
Here. Yes.
Counselor Fellows?
Yes.
Counselor Keller?
Yes.
Counselor Larichelle?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Robichaud?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays. Order passed. Vote 6-0.
Next item.
Next item is the approval of a contract in the amount of $67,500 to Electrical Systems of Maine.
Good evening, Steve Avioli, Sewer Department Superintendent. This purchase is a carryover from the last fiscal year. We actually applied for a hazard mitigation grant, and unfortunately, we applied for it around October of 2022. Results came out in May of 23, and we were not approved for it. So I requested to carry over the funds to make this purchase, and we actually put it out to bid at the beginning of August, closed on September 1st. And advertised it through the town website. I think about 8 people took out documents or 8 companies took out documents for the bidding on it. And we actually only received 1 bid from Electrical Systems of Maine. And this generator was actually, it's a replacement portable generator for one we have that's from the 70s. It doesn't see a lot of use, so it's actually still was operational, but we had an issue with it in December, which worked out, and as we were already trying to replace it under that grant, that proved that its age has actually caught up to it, and it's getting difficult to find parts for it. So just requesting approval to make this purchase. We did carry over the funds from capital improvement line from last budget, and just looking to get approval to make the purchase from Electrical Systems of Maine.
Making a motion for discussion?
A second. Can I ask you a question? Or did you want?
No, go ahead first.
I'm just curious, what about the one that's needing parts? What happens to that?
It still works right now. We're able to get source parts for it. It just took a while to get them, and it's actually probably going to get auctioned off.
Okay.
So it is not much reuse for it for us because of the design of it, the age of it. It doesn't meet current emission standards, so it's difficult to find other uses for it. But we would probably put it out to auction.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. Is it similar to the one that I'm seeing here?
Yes, it is similar to that. It's on a single axle trailer. It's green, and it was a former military unit is what it is.
Okay.
It was one of the things I think was purchased in the 1980s, because we've had it on board as long as I've worked here.
Thank you.
Sounds like we got our money's worth out of that one.
Absolutely.
Good job.
What does it actually power at your facility there?
This actually would be used for 9 of our 12 pump stations is what this would power. And even though we now have a backup power at the wastewater treatment plant, if that were to go down, we actually still have a generator hookup on the main administration building to run our disinfection system, which would keep us in compliance with our discharge permit.
So this is like a portable, you take it to a station if there's power and you need to power an individual
Absolutely.
station, okay.
May I, Chair? Is this something readily available? I mean, is this something they actually have, or is this something that is like everything else in the world, it's 2 years out? No.
When I talked to the rep to Electrical Systems of Maine about in the May-June timeframe, they actually had 2 of these in stock. Because I told him at the time that, because they assisted us with what we needed for the grant. And at the time, I told them that we did not get approval for the grant. We will be looking to put it out to bid. But, of course, it was the end of our fiscal year, so we waited till we got into the new year to move forward with trying to make a purchase.
Yep. Well, hopefully you can get it in the near future, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Winter's not here yet, but I think it's going to come up on us pretty quick.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Ready for a vote? Hands?
Order passed,
Sir.
vote 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item?
Next item is other business. First, our council committee reports. First is the school committee.
So the school committee met Monday a week ago, the 28th. Very extensive agenda, but kind of very high level. They reviewed staffing and new hires, safety at all the different schools, recapped anything that happened over the summer, discussed facilities, 2023-2024 enrollment numbers, technology improvements, and had some public comments as well. All of which can be seen on the notes from their last meeting.
Next is planning board.
Last meeting was August 24th, and they were considering an application by Ancient York for that building down there, and there was some readjustment, and it will be done as a site plan review, believe it or not. I mean, not a site plan, a subdivision review, believe it or not, because of the number of units in an older building.
Interesting.
And secondly, thirdly, they did training, and it was done by our planning, by Ben Smith and Kate, and it was different than what you would expect from MMA. So they did some case examples and things like that. So I thought it was, and everybody was there, so it was well worth doing. And the third part was they did a workshop, again, working on LD 2003, which is the ADU accommodation, which is coming in place, and we'll be sending an ordinance to you shortly. And regarding the MSW situation, in looking through that, and I remember what the planning board was doing, most of that is requirements and may at some point, probably will at some point, require an update of the fee schedule, because I noticed in there's at least 3 inspections done by our codes enforcement officers, so probably it'll have to be updated. That's it.
Lisbon Development Committee.
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, but I don't know, there's a couple of counselors that were there, or Ross, if you want to come up and talk about anything.
Put him on the spot, he's here, right?
So our next meeting is a week from Wednesday, 6 p.m. We're working on designs for the parking lot down across from Frank's to turn that into a functional and welcoming town space. Thank you.
Conservation Commission. Councilor Moore isn't here. Parks and Recreation Committee.
Actually, we didn't actually have a meeting last night because of the holiday, but I did touch base with Mark today a little bit to see what was happening. And he had just sent me some notes saying that all the youth sports programs have started this week. The numbers of participants are excellent, in some cases pre-pandemic. Nice. So things are coming along pretty well. Their after and before school program started last week. They have 120 kids registered for the program, both of them combined, which is huge, right? That's a lot of heads coming in every day. And then the seniors just returned from a trip. 10 days, they went to the Canadian Rockies, I guess. Sounds like it was a really good trip. So a lot of activities happened for the young and senior. So I think they're pretty busy. And he did mention that they are still working on their updates to their working ordinances and rules. So I think Glenn had mentioned that also too. That'll be coming to us at some point in time for an update. And that's what I got.
Next is County Budget Committee.
Yeah, I don't have anything to report on County Budget Committee at the moment.
And Library Governing Board.
The library is starting a book club, and apparently the demand is so heavy that they might have to have 2 versions of it. So apparently we've missed out on that opportunity for a while. Coming up in October will be a safety presentation for seniors again, and I'll talk more about that later. I believe that's October 23rd. And the library is preparing for the changes in the exits. So there were some things that needed to be moved to make way for another exit out of the building.
Well, that's the new door. Mm-hmm. Water Commission.
Their last meeting, they haven't had a meeting since ours, and their next meeting is September 12th.
Finance Committee.
We have not had a meeting yet in the Finance Committee. Next item.
And that's it. Town Manager's Report.
So at our last meeting, we talked about the Ferry Road bond, and we were going to look and see what was left. So in May 2022, Council secured a loan of approximately $2.8 million for a specific project. As of March 29th, 2023, approximately $1.77 million has been expended, leaving a balance of $1.03 million on that bond. On March 29th, a bid of $416,000 was awarded, reducing the balance to $614,000. On July 11th, 2023, an additional bid of $105,000 was granted, further reducing the available funds to $509,000. So there are three things we can do with the remaining $509,000. We can do infrastructure improvement and utilize the funds for permissible improvements such as paving Ridland Road, which is why Randy's here tonight to talk a little bit about that. We can also refund the debt principal, allocate the amounts towards the principal of the loan, and this would expedite the loan repayment process, or we can make a debt service payment and use the funds to address the debt service on the existing loan, which would alleviate financial pressures in the FY24 and 26 budgets. So I have Randy here if you have any questions about Ridland Road or how you want to move forward. If you want us to draft an RFP to do that paving, which we can with the remainder of the bond, or if you would like to move forward with the other two options.
It'd be interesting to hear cost factors. And I thought at one point in time we were told that it couldn't be applied to the principal of the loan, only to the interest.
I will look into that and make
And that's
sure.
why it was a limited amount of money that we could actually put towards that loan. It seemed really strange at the time, but I remember it was mentioned a couple different times that it could only be applied to the interest of the loan, not so much the principal of it. But I might have been mistaken too. So
That's fine. I can
Yeah.
have them look into that with staff or bond counsel and just double check.
But if we knew what those numbers actually were, maybe we could actually do both, right? So
Absolutely. I think there's enough money where you could do both. Randy Sear, Public Works and Solid Waste Director. I was able to get to to at least one construction company to give me a quote just for preliminary numbers. For about $300,000, we can add fill, we can ditch, and run the new culverts across. It's probably down in the halfway point before you get to to the sharp right-hand corner. Those culverts are up too high, so it's either we build up because there's a lot of standing water all the time to the left-hand side. To the right, just up ahead a little bit, there's a cemetery, so we really can't do much there. But in looking at it, we can do, it'd be like a base coat, top coat, and the contractor said we're in the vicinity with the, additional gravel and fill is about $300,000 to bring it all the way to the Ridland farm and end it there.
well, how long a road path is that?
I think it came out to just under 1,700 feet, and we're going to make it 20 feet wide.
So you get pretty close to a mile up in there in a sense. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's about, about half a mile, a little over,
Half a mile.
well, just under half a mile because it's 5,260 feet in a mile, so.
Yeah. I was thinking that road was longer than that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what it came out to, like just
Nice.
under 1,700.
Now, Matt, now is there pavement on that road now at all? Nothing.
The only pavement is where it comes in off of Ferry Road and where County Road forks off and goes into the woods. It ends right about there. It's about 50 feet in.
And I know there's been a couple years past where taxpayers have had some concerns about water running and plowing and.
Yes.
Will
Yeah.
this address most of those concerns, you think?
It's going to address all those concerns. Yeah. Yeah, because the biggest issue is there's no ditching because there's a little bit of ledge there, and the contractor knows that he might have to hammer out a little bit of that area to get the ditch line down. And then also we're going to be building the road up, and that's why there's extra material being brought in.
I remember hearing concerns there was no real easy fix at the
No.
time. Yeah.
No, there is no real easy fix. There's added, got to bring in material, got to add material for sure. Then it'll be graded, pitched, ditched, and paved.
So I got a question, Randy. I know you have a running list for paving roads that are not paved.
Oh, yeah.
Is that originally on that list?
Oh, yeah.
And when was that scheduled to be done according to your list?
Next year.
So it was scheduled to be done next year?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So it was
I ju-
like, when Glenn and I were talking, he goes, is there anything else we could do? I said, the light bulb came on. I said, it was anything that abuts or pertains to Ferry Road actually qualifies. I
Right.
said, Ridland Road.
right. And it was on the list?
And it was on the list to begin with, yes.
Right.
Yeah. So it's actually pay now or pay later.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I mention it for listeners, right, so they understand that you have an ongoing list
Yes.
to pave, all our roads, and so
Yep.
it's already scheduled for next year, so I think it's a good point bringing it up.
and there's at least 2 or 3 times a year where we get stuck at the end of the road by the Ridland Farm.
Right.
So this year, the Ridleys have asked me to continue paving up the driveway like we used to do, turn around and
Yeah.
come back down.
Yeah.
Because we've been stuck right there. It drops right off, so, which we've done in the past, and we're gonna have to continue doing it that way, but paving is gonna make it a lot better.
And part of this grant was, not grant, but actually the debt service was that we actually had to keep it in that footprint of the project. So it, as he mentioned, it had to be within a touching Ferry
Yeah.
Road, so to speak.
Well, I think to your point, Fern, and also yours, doing it this year is going to be cheaper than next year.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a win-win for everybody.
And it still falls within the scope of work of
Right.
Ferry Road grant
Right.
money.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, so did Village Street, because it abuts it, it brings you to it, so everything kind of fell in place.
Yeah, nice catch.
Yeah.
I wonder if
Nice
that
catch.
includes the traffic signal. I'm not leaving that alone, you know.
Don, you're killing me. You're killing me.
All right, so staff
something-
will work on an RFP for Ridland Road, and then we'll also look into whether or not we have any restrictions on repaying, refunding the debt principal, or if we can only make an interest-only payment.
Do you want a motion and a vote on that, or is that something you're all good
Yeah.
just moving
You
forward?
don't
No,
need
it's
one
just-
for that.
We'll have an action, I guess, when we come back to you with the RFP and whether or not you want to use the remainder for either of those two options.
Perfect, thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Next item. Oh, I'm sorry, are you done?
I can be done.
Okay.
No,
Sorry about that.
yeah, no, there's obviously been some delays with the demolition of Union Street, so a little bit of an update there. They were supposed to be on site today. The PM was there waiting for his crews. I was told they broke down on the way to 6 Union Street, so it was supposed to start today. It'll either start tomorrow or Thursday, so I know that's been a lingering eyesore for all of us and the public, so just as an update there, soon.
May I ask a question on that?
Sure.
So basically, the road closure has been kind of like one of those, kind of like
It hasn't
moving on
happened,
things, so basically,
I guess I would request the ability to extend the dates for the road closure dependent on when that work starts. Can I leave it loose like that, or do I need an exact day?
No, I don't think you need an exact day. I think you can just ask.
put a
Okay.
2-week window
ex-
opportunity,
Yeah,
because I
to
think.
extend the previous road closure that you authorized an additional week to allow for the work to be. Let's build in 2 weeks just in case.
Good point.
Would you like a motion on that one, or?
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a motion to extend, or give the privilege of a town manager to actually extend the road closure for up to 2 weeks. And with a caveat on that, hopefully we just stay in tune with the business owners in that area so they're not caught by surprise.
I'll second it.
Okay, ready for vote?
Vote is 6-0. Order passed.
Next item.
Next item is under appointments. This is for the appointment of the assistant town manager.
So I just wanted to follow the same process we follow with all the department heads, even though it's not reflected in our ordinance. So this is a hire that I made. I'm asking for council confirmation of the appointment of the new assistant town manager, Sarah Bennett, who will start on September 18th.
I'll make the motion to confirm.
I'll second. Ready for vote?
Vote 6-0. The order passed.
Next item.
Council communications.
Anyone have any communications? No. Don't look like we have any. Next item.
Audience participation and response to new items.
Anyone from the audience?
Require them to pick a number.
I see. I see none. Next item.
Next item is executive session for the acquisition of real property or economic development per 1 MRSA Section 4056C.
So moved.
A second?
So we'll vote to go in.
And the time is 7:29.
You want me to write it on here when they come out?
Thank you, Steve. Randy? Appreciate you coming in.
Hi, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Nice find.
Over to my town clerk seat.
Oh, you're gonna be clerking.